Now this place for me is really quite nostalgic. This is the original redstone testing world that I made back in 2012 when I first started my YouTube channel. And as you can see, it's a very brightly coloured place filled to the brim with some fairly ridiculous looking redstone contraptions, but arguably the most important one for me is this one down at the bottom here. Now this was the first big and complicated redstone project I ever worked on. And the idea was simple. I wanted to create a glass piston door where you couldn't see any of the pistons. We hit this button right here, and the blocks get retracted, and then everything does everything, and then we get ourselves a completely seamless area where you can't see the piston faces, because those things are quite ugly. Now, the redstone behind it isn't particularly complicated, so I think I'll let 16-year-old Mumbo let you know what's going on. But I will warn you, I think I had a bit of a cold at the time, I can't really tell. These piston arms retract, pulling this sandstone back to that block there. These then extend and then retract quite quickly, pulling the sandstone to this block here. Okay, so then that sandstone will extend out, pushing the sandstone out to this block here, making it completely seamless so you can't see any of the pistons, which is one of the main selling points, I guess. Now that that slightly nasally explanation is out of the way, I think it's about time that we actually take a look at the new design that I've created. Now keep in mind that the dimensions of this thing are 18 by 30 by 4, which means it's got a volume of 2,160 blocks. I mean, seriously, this thing is an absolute elephant. Whereas this little thing over here has got dimensions of 8 by 7 by 2, giving it a volume of 112 blocks, which means that it's just 5.2% of the original size. It's 1/20th of the size, pretty much. And I would say it works considerably faster, and also looks better. It actually hides away the glass entirely, meaning you don't have any of that going on, and there is the closing as well. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous, isn't it? To get this design to work, we retract these blocks right here up into these spaces, then double extend the pistons, double retract the pistons, putting the glass into these blocks, and then re-extend these pistons, covering up the glass. Now if we hit the button, you can see all of that happens, well, pretty much instantly. I mean, there's not too much waiting around on this one. I love this thing. Now before I get myself too carried away, of course, this thing right here can't use observers, it can't make use of comparators or any of the new redstone mechanics that we have to play with in 2017. Obviously, all of this is fairly old school redstone, but even for back in his day, it was still a pretty huge design, to the point where I actually recorded the video. I had signed off the video saying, thanks for watching guys, I'm out, I'll see you later. And then I put a clip in after that saying, oh, by the way, I've managed to make a more compact version. Here it is, it's all working, and I'll show you it in tomorrow's video. The way I made videos back in 2012 really was very strange. Anyway, that's enough of that one. I think it's about time that I show you how to build this thing. Now I'm going to be building this thing from the ground up, just to help those of you who are building it in survival mode, and we're going to get things started with a 10 by 2 area. Now the first thing we have to do is create a 2 by 2 area of redstone in the center, and any blocks that are above this thing are going to be the blocks for your doorway. So this level right here is where our door is going to be going. As you can see, it's 2 blocks wide, and that's where our glass is going to be extending off on these 2 sections right here. So we want to place redstone on the sides of each one of these blocks. Sticky pistons facing upwards, those are going to be retracting the blocks that come down to allow the glass to come through. We're then going to have repeaters running out like this with sticky pistons and blocks on top. And those are going to create the monostable circuits, which are going to be shortening our pulse to allow the double piston extender to fire and then retract back. We're going to have repeaters set to 4 ticks to extend out those pulses with redstone dust right there. And then we want redstone dust on this side with a block and redstone dust. Nice. Next up, I'm actually going to create our walkway. So we need to create a 2 by 2 tunnel just going through the center like this. And this is where our glass door is going to be going, and then on either side we're actually going to place in the double piston extender. So we want 2 sticky pistons and then another 2 sticky pistons like that, with 1 block gap between them and the tunnel to allow our glass to be stored back there. And we want to do the same thing on the other side. Then the next thing that we want to do is we're going to grab our observers, and they're going to go up like this, and then we're going to have a piece of redstone on top of that observer, a block up like this with redstone dust, and then we want an observer facing downwards there, and an observer facing downwards there as well. Now you might need to replace some of those blocks because of course the observers fire while you place them. Then you want to place in a repeater, which of course is going to cause our pistons to fire once again, and then we want to have ourselves an iron trapdoor which is going to be activating that observer there, which will give us the double piston extender motion. So then we want to do the same thing on the other side. That is 2 observers facing upwards just like this, redstone dust on top of that one, and then we're going to have our 2 blocks going across like that, our observer facing downwards right there, our trapdoor, and our repeater. And that is the full system all done in terms of the double piston extenders. Final thing to do now, and that is the final block retraction, which means that we're going to need some more observers once again. They're going to be detecting updates from these repeaters, and that update is going to run up into these sticky pistons, which are going to spit out their blocks that will have sand on top, and we're going to be taking output from that using comparators. And those comparators are going to run across like this. They're going to be going into these blocks here. We're going to have redstone torches right there, and then on the sides of those redstone torches, we're going to have sticky pistons. Now, the way that we are going to be taking comparator outputs is we're actually going to be using furnaces with items on the inside. So if I just place that there, and place that one on that side as well, you can see we have items on the inside of both of those. And this sand block right here is going to come between the furnace and the comparator, and that comparator will detect an output from this furnace, which means that we can use that to unpower our redstone torches, which means that these pistons will retract, retracting back these blocks, allowing our double piston extenders to extend. So all we have to do now is fill in this area with glass, and then we're ready to give it a test. Now, your input has to be done using a wooden button, and it has to go into any of this piece of redstone right here. So I'm going to be placing the button there, and there we go. Closing and opening, all working fine. So if you wanted to extend out this redstone line, for example, if you were doing some form of input elsewhere, then you could just run this out like this. We'd have redstone dust on top of it, and if we just run the button into that, that is all functioning absolutely fine. So there we go. That is how you run the input into this thing, and of course you can link that up into anything that you really want to. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo. I'm out. I'll see you later.